So one of the things I want to kind of move on to right now is talking about metrics. So it's always the question, how deep, everybody throws big data out there. There's so many metrics available to us right now. What are the right metrics, right? I'm curious to know, what do you say? What are the metrics that you actually look at that you find valuable?
Yeah, so I think there's obviously going to be sort of very specific metrics for marketing and for sales as well. So like marketing, you're looking at, sort of visitor to lead conversion rates across all of their activities, like how many white papers were downloaded, what the traffic is like on the site. Sales are going to be having their own quotas, close rate, things like that. But there are some metrics that kind of go across both departments, such as close rate by channel, to actually be able to see how initiatives at marketing actually led to successful closures, or conversion assist as well, looking at your content and being able to see that in terms of how effective that was with actual closing out in sales. But again, really, that's it's getting to the point of having the closed loop reporting, where you can actually look at that data and see through the buyer journey actually what is happening in marketing, and then what the impact of that is in sales. But that's, again, requires you to sort of to connect your systems to be able to see that 360 view.
Bruce.
Yeah, it's funny between marketing and sales. Great year. We had a great sales year. Marketing did great. Oh, we had a down year. The sales team just can't close, right? So it's, the end of the day, it's sales, right? Revenue. Bring it in. And I think that's, as far as the people that sign the checks to those platforms and to those consultants, that's what they're looking for, right, at the end of the day. But there's also a lot to be said as far as, depending on the sales cycle and everything else, the audience. And it's very hard to connect the dots for marketing attribution to a sale, right? It's very hard. And I think some of these automation platforms close that, get closer to it with the insight. And as a salesperson, once you've got that lead and you're in that multiple touch points and you're taking it, then it's pretty much binary. Did you close it? Did you not? So, it's a number of things. I think, there's no magic metric that you have to keep your eye on.
I saw you shaking your head, Vince, as well.
Well, to Bruce's point, I'm a pilot, and so I'm looking at my instruments all the time and making micro, changes and adjustments. But overall, what's the most important is, did I land the airplane and is everybody safe? I mean, that's what matters. And so
you're here, so you've done a good job at that thus far.
Exactly. So for me, customer lifetime value, cost of acquisition, and revenue are probably the big macro ones that I care about. The other ones, the typical metrics between marketing and sales, I think that it varies based upon industry and what you're trying to sell. And I think what really is important that you have a continuous feedback loop, that you understand what those are and you adjust, and that you're, again, over communicating to everybody within the organization so that you can make those adjustments. I know that takes time, but over time as an organization, depending upon what you're selling, you're going to get better and better and better at it, right? And, to come back and blame one or the other, marketing or sales, at the end of the year, I'm like, come on, we're a team, right? And so now we got to go back and look at, what were the metrics that we had over the last year and how do we fix that? And also the question would be, were we looking at the right things in the middle of the year to kind of change that and make it a little bit different? If we don't do that, if we don't make those adjustments, if we're waiting to the end of the year to find out, then we're going to lose every time. It's too late. So we should be monitoring those metrics all the time. And in the end, did we land the plane is the most important thing.
Definitely. I think that's, I use it. I'm a guy, I love boats. Love to be out at sea. So it's kind of those pivots, right? If you just let it keep going straight, you're going to crash into the rocks. But you have to continue to pivot along the way. You can't just kind of let it go forward. One of the things, because of given the show, the content management industry's only web commentary show, we talk about the platforms so much. So a lot of blame will come on the end users, and we talk about the return on investment. How is it possible for us to really kind of measure, when we're talking metrics, the return on, say, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month on a specific platform? Can we measure the return on a platform? This isn't totally off the script, but it's...
Possibly. I'm gonna
Because it's hard to do,
It's
because
it's very hard to do, and it's hard to do often because of attribution, because you don't exactly know sometimes where the sales are coming from. So, like a real life scenario is we work for Shred-it. We're their digital agency of record. They do about $1 billion a year globally of paper shredding, which is pretty akin to gym memberships, to be honest. They're selling a very inexpensive service. And probably for the last 12 or 18 months, like one of the projects we've been working on with them is really trying to get that 360-degree view of a lead to a client. Because the challenge they were having is phone calls weren't attributed back to web, even though the original inquiry came through web. At some point, someone picked up a phone and called them. And when we built a responsive website, we saw this great increase in online form submissions on the web. But we heard talking to salespeople that people still like the phone, so we switched to click to call on the mobile device, and it had just an astronomical effect on conversion rates because people wanted to talk to a human being. When we did that, when we first went to click to call, though, we weren't attributing those phone calls back to web. So once we attributed them back, the ROI became, obviously better than it was before.
So what do you guys think?
Yeah, and I think the question is as far as personalization, perhaps, and I think everything happens. The speed of business is so just critical, and we used to think maybe I don't know, maybe a light year ago, 3 years, right, linear. Right, but Vince mentioned it's the sales process is all over the place, and someone may stumble upon your site. And if we're talking the gym membership, right, you're probably a local brick and mortar gym, right? And so local SEO is very critical, and having a responsive site, and then also having the ability to personalize a message, like come in today for 10% off. So that's where a lot of the automation kicks in, and the power of it to be able to maintain a certain personalization without having to man the ship 24/7.
Excellent. So